Well, thank you very much. Well, good morning, and thank you for inviting us to be here this morning to talk to you about what is, I think, one of the most important issues in our community, and that's the education of our children. My name is Allegra Happy Haynes, and I'm delighted to be here. So many acquaintances and friends that I've known over the years. I'm a Denver native. I'm a product of Denver Public Schools. I bring that perspective and a little bit of the history of our school district. I was just talking to somebody earlier about the days of busing and many of the things that have gone on. And so I'm running for re-election to the at-large seat because I am still passionate about making sure that every child in this district has a quality education and has access to a great school. And while I think we've made some pretty good progress over the last few years, in the 4 years that I've been on the board, all of the kids have grown academically. We have the highest academic growth of any district in this state. Our graduation rates are up. 5 or 6 years ago, our graduation rates were hovering somewhere around 40% overall, and they're now at 60%, which is a great growth. But clearly, 60% is nothing to celebrate in terms of graduation rate. We want a graduation rate that's 100%, and so we have much to do. We have, even though all of our kids have grown academically over the last year, and the rate of growth probably more significant than not only any district in the state, but over the country, there is a persistent, what we call an opportunity gap for many of our low-income kids of color. And that's hovered around the 30 or so percent, and has been that way for at least 7 or 8 years. So all the kids have gotten better, but the gap still remains. So we have some real work to do in terms of how to specifically address that gap and how to make sure that those kids have the opportunity to catch up to their peers without, at the same time, neglecting those kids who are doing well at the top and continuing to push their advancement as well. And so we owe it to all of our kids to meet them where they are, to know who they are, what their needs are, and to meet them where they are. I was very proud to, as a president of the board for the past 2 years, to lead our board and district in developing the Denver Plan 2020. And we call it the Denver Plan because it's not the DPS plan. It's a plan that we believe requires all of us as citizens to help make happen. And there are 5 simple goals. The first is great schools in every single neighborhood, so that kids and families have access to a really high-quality school in their neighborhood. A strong early foundation, kids who actually come to school ready to learn. A real focus around early literacy and making sure that our kids are reading at grade level by grade 3. So we call it our Invest Early goal, and it means that we really want to take the necessary steps to ensure that all of our kids are reading at grade level by 3rd grade. We know if that happens, the chances for a successful graduation rise exponentially. And secondly, to increase our graduation rate. The 60%, like I said, the growth is great, but that's not good enough. And what happens? I mean, when you think of the chances for those kids who aren't graduating, and in today's society where 74% of the jobs require some kind of post-secondary education, that's not good enough for our kids. And so we really are focused on increasing that graduation rate and making sure that they're college and career ready. And we hear from a lot of people, well, all kids can't go to college and aren't college material. That may be true, but we shouldn't be deciding for them that they're not college material. We want to make sure that they're prepared. And if they make the decision they don't want to go to college and want to go into a trade or something else, and we know that they're prepared to do that. And I think we hear from all of our business community and our trades organizations, our kids who are going directly into the workforce need the same basic skills as kids who are going to college in today's world. We want to close the opportunity gap, and we call it an opportunity gap rather than an achievement gap, because an achievement gap suggests that there's something wrong with the kids, if it's what they are doing or not doing. We see it as we haven't put the kids in the right environment and we haven't provided the right opportunities for them to be successful. And it's on us as adults to ensure that that happens so that they can be successful. And finally, a really new focus for the district is a goal around the whole child. Meaning that academic progress and growth is really good, but we want our kids to grow in other ways. We want them to be socially, emotionally prepared. We want them to be enriched. We want their opportunities to have music and art and physical education, and to be really engaged and be, as a student told us in a panel one time, she said, I'm the expert in my own learning, in my own education. And that's exactly what we want with a focus on the whole child, is meeting kids where they are and giving them what they need to be successful. So I will stop there and entertain any questions if we have any time left.
Couple questions. We have a couple questions.
I appreciate you talking about the third grade. That's really important. And I've heard it said that up until the third grade you learn to read, and then from third grade you read to learn. And it's amazing how that one statistic has such importance. That's all.
Yep, it is, and we believe that. I think that's the focus of the year.
I know you've taken on a great job with the city, with Parks and Rec, doing the executive director. Do you intend to do both?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And in fact, when the mayor asked me to consider the role, I told him it was conditional upon my being able to run again and fulfilling the commitment that I made when I ran 4 years ago to stick with it for 8 years if the voters, if it was the will of the voters to do that. So let me address that for a moment, because I think people made a big deal out of it. So every member of the board has a full-time job, because the board, many people don't know, the Board of Education is a volunteer position. We don't get a dime from the work that we do, and shouldn't, in my view. So every member of the board has a full-time job and does the work of the board and commits a lot of time to that work. In addition, at least 3 previous board members have also served on the Board of Education and in a high-level role, including 2 of them that were Parks and Rec directors. James Mejia and Kevin Patterson served on the board while they were in the same role. So, so there's certainly lots of precedent. Lucia Guzman was the head of the Human Relations while she served on the board. And so it just, these people who run for the school board, and I can tell you all, and I'm sure that's true for Robert as well, are deeply committed to the education of our children and spending extra time to ensure that they can fulfill their commitment and their leadership role on the board. And our board members spend varying times per week on that role, but I will continue to put the same commitment and level of energy in my role as a board member while also fulfilling my commitment as the Executive Director of Parks and Recreation.
Great.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you very much.